Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Answer the Call, where it's a Star Citizen podcast where we do a single topic and allow members from the community to call in and discuss that topic. I really do like this show. If you are new here, it's very different than your typical Star Citizen podcast, which is more just members of the streaming and YouTube community just kind of talking about topics. And it's the same people discussing the same things every week, what's new in Star Citizen, and a lot of theory crafting, where I think this show is very different, where it allows members who are not streamers and YouTubers to come on and actually have a voice. It gives the community a voice. I'm really happy with where it's gone and where it's going. So if you are new here, I do hope you enjoy the show and let me know what you think. Today's topic is Star Citizen's 2019 goals. Last week, we saw Star Citizen's roadmap. It was technically 2 weeks ago. We saw Star Citizen's roadmap get updated for the entire year. So this is what their goals are for 2019. And I'm overall very pleased with what I've seen for their roadmap. Actually, very, very pleased. We had Aaron Roberts on an RTV where he discussed why the roadmap may not show as many gameplay elements as we're used to seeing on the roadmap from last year, that were constantly getting pushed back, constantly getting pulled out, and constantly disappointing us. And they want to go more conservative this year, and the things on the roadmap are things that they believe that they can achieve this year. If you do want to go watch that RTV, I will link it in the description below. I think it is a really, really good watch. And for someone like me, who you've probably seen get very emotional about the game, get upset about the development of the game, get upset about the marketing of the game, so on and so forth, this calmed me down a little bit, more than a little bit. I do like the direction that they're going with things. But overall, it is really disappointing. Just the development of Star Citizen overall. We discussed this in our Discord a little bit, where people are starting to get frustrated where things just don't seem to be happening, right? It's always, guys, we're working on the tools and the background to make this game work the way it should be. We have to do the groundwork. It's every year, it's the groundwork, right? We hear it every year. But when we agreed, okay, how about this? When you kept buying ships from 2015 till now, you agreed that you wanted this game to be bigger and better than any game ever. And that's why you bought your ships. If you bought your ships for other reasons, I'm sorry. But that's not why you should have been buying them, right? You should have been buying them to support the development of the game and to make the best damn space sim ever. That's what we all kind of bought into. What we didn't know is how long it was going to take us to get our best damn space sim ever. And how difficult it was going to be for them to do. And that they didn't have that many people in the office at the time in 2015. And that it was probably impossible. But we didn't know that. So, and part of it is their fault, and part of it is our fault. Right? And the thing about it is, and the thing that Aaron kind of calmed me down with it is if we want them to do this the right way, if we want them to do it and scale the way we want them to scale into this amazing game, they have to keep working on tools, and they have to focus on performance and the ability to actually get there in a reasonable amount of time. If we have them making what we have now fun, or throwing in a bunch of features that constantly have to get reworked like they've been doing for all these years, it's just going to take forever. So it's still going to take a long time, but it won't take forever, I think, with the way that they're doing things. So what we see on the roadmap is mostly, I would say, quality of life improvements for what we have now. There are a lot of features that are coming in that do look like a lot of fun, but in terms of what we saw on the roadmap last year, we're not getting anywhere near the level of gameplay on the roadmap that we had last year. On the roadmap, we always had something to look forward to, but what we actually got was something a little bit different. We did get mining. That was fantastic, but we got something completely different than what we saw on the roadmap at the start of 2017 to what we ended 2018 with, right? So this year, what we're looking at is something that, to me and Aaron Roberts, seems realistic, and I'm very happy with that. So I'm going to run through a quick list of what I find to be key features coming into the game that are really exciting, and also the key quality of life improvements that are very exciting. Obviously, playable female characters and customizations to your characters are coming into 3.5. That's exciting, somewhat. It'll make the world feel more diverse, more alive, more immersion. More immersion's good. We're going to get ArcCorp and its moons, which is going to expand the Stanton system out to a whole nother giant area of gameplay, right? Area to play the game in. I don't know how much gameplay additions there'll be because of it. Probably not many. But it makes our world feel a little bit bigger, because no matter how vast the space is between things, we still don't have a lot of variety. And adding a little bit of variety will help the game. AI improvements. I'm not going to mention these anymore. There are AI improvements in every single patch. As the AI improves, the more fun this game will be. As we are less reliant on other players creating gameplay for us, and where we can just jump in the game and enjoy it, whether you're cargo hauling and get attacked by NPC AIs, or you're actively attacking NPC AIs, or interacting with them in general, in any way, will make the experience of Star Citizen much better and much more replayable. Component improvements, wear and tear, stuff like that. Making the game feel a little bit more alive. Making components degrade so you have to replace them. Also important. Distortion damage coming into 3.5. Possibly disabling ships will be a major thing. And obviously core tech improvements. And let's not forget about the flight model. I don't think the flight model is going to be a catch-all and make this game fun again, but it should be a good stepping stone into what we need, since we have a lot more planetary and atmospheric flight. I think this will help out with that, as well as flight in space. But I'm not too hung up on the flight model like a lot of people are. 3.6. Improving our helmet HUD. I think we know that the UI in Star Citizen is really rough and kind of frustrating to use. So any improvement there is good. Weapon attachments, FPS weapon attachments in particular. More reasons to make money, more reasons to spend money. A black market economy. That could change everything. Ship rentals. Okay? Ship rentals. So important. You get to try out ships before you buy them. It really depends on how they do it, but it is important. More quality of life improvements to wear and tear and just general animations. Transit systems. Traveling around the verse and around the cities and making it a little bit less tedious should be important. 3.7. Improving the cargo experience, potentially with cargo depot stations. Rest stop improvements. They're bringing the exterior improvements in 3.6. In 3.7, we get interior improvements. Fuel scoop, quote-unquote, improvements. I guess they're getting more closer to their design document. Close combat, melee, player status, stuff like thirst, hunger, being tired, dirty, temperature. I don't know how that's going to improve the game. I think that might make it more frustrating. We'll see how that goes. Power systems, more things connected. Maybe actually multi-crew will function better when power systems are actually functioning. Ship-to-station docking is very important for a lot of things. Physical inventory. And then 3.8, we bring in microtech, fill out the Stanton system, and then this allows them to go on to somewhere else in the future. So that's very important. Refinery stations and the dynamic mission system is like everything. The first step to the real economy simulation in the game, right? So that's kind of what's planned for 3.8. There aren't any major hitters there. There's no salvage. There's no mining. There's no bounty hunting. There's none nothing that we really want there. At least speaking for myself. But there's everything that we need there. Okay? There is salvage in 3.8, but that's 3.8, and I'm not too keen on anything that's in 3.8 now, and things might move in and out, right? But I'm more concerned, let's put it this way, I'm more concerned about the quality of life improvements than the gameplay. Additions of salvage, of bounty hunting, and of these things right now. And I think that's a different tune than I've spoke for a while. We are actually starting to get a queue, which is pretty nice. And this is something I want to mention as well. If you are watching this on YouTube, this is something that we're going to be doing from now on. I really should have started out with this, and I'm a fucking idiot for not doing it. The next week's topic I have together. It will be at the end of the show. It will be time-stamped. If you cannot make the show when it's live, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Twitch, twitch.tv/Torque17, you can use hashtag #AnswerTheCall on Twitter and give your comments on next week's topic there, okay? So I will mention next week's topic at the end of the show, and it will be time-stamped, okay? So, yeah, for me, I am much more concerned with quality of life improvements, not necessarily additions to the game, really. If you can get quality of life improvements like our general... One of the things I'm missing was group systems, right? Working together a little bit easier, playing with your friends a little bit easier is going to make what we have in the game a lot more fun. I've said this before. I think what we have in Star Citizen really does, and so is Chris Roberts, compared to Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is a pretty fun game. I think Sea of Thieves is missing a lot of things that Star Citizen does have, and if we can get Star Citizen to function a little bit like Sea of Thieves more, or just be more polished like Sea of Thieves is, I think we can have a lot of fun in the game, right? So my feelings are, I love that they are much more conservative, and I like that they're focusing on tools and making the game scale now. I think we obviously know that there's also some things on the Squadron 42 roadmap that are going to come in to the PU. I didn't really look at that too deeply because it's hard to tell what would make it. I'm not a game developer, so it's difficult to say, well, that'll be easy to implement into a multiplayer universe rather than a single-player universe. Why does quality of life matter if there's little gameplay? Because there's not a little bit of gameplay. For me, this is for me. My opinion is my opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. It's always going to be that way. But for me, Star Citizen is this close to having a lot of gameplay and to being a lot of fun. You don't have to add in salvage. You don't have to add in bounty hunting. You don't have to add in repair. You don't have to add in fuel. You don't have to add in all those things to make this game fun. You have to make the game more playable now to make it fun, right? We have to get voice over IP functioning much better. We need to get the economy making a lot more sense. We need to make it so a pirate who's attacking another player can benefit from attacking another player just as much as that player who's running cargo, right? And then you actually have a relatively functional, enjoyable game. And then when that experience is fun, then you add another wrinkle to it, like salvage, right? So now that you've destroyed a ship, not only can you take their cargo or some of the components off of it, let's say, well, I guess that wouldn't function, but maybe you could take their cargo from it. Maybe you can benefit in some way from killing them, right? And we'll see. But anyway, we have a decent caller list, so I kind of want to hear what they have to say. This was way too long of an intro, but there's just so much to what's coming this year. I wanted to get through it. But in general, I'm very happy with the way they're doing things. I so much prefer a more conservative roadmap and then get excited when something comes in rather than get disappointed as things pull out. If anything gets pulled out of any patch from this patch, from 3.5 onto 3.8, none of it will upset me that much. There's nothing major that I'm looking forward to, right? There's really nothing that I'm looking forward to out of any of these. But there's so many little bits and pieces that they're adding that the overall Star Citizen experience will be enjoyable, more enjoyable, and that's what I'm looking forward to, right? All right, guys. So I'm going to bring in our first caller, and it is the BB88, good friend of the show. Hey, BB. Welcome to Answer the Call, man. How you doing?
What's going on, brother?
What up? So what do you think?
Not much. I hope you good.
I'm good. I'm good.
So you actually just made some good points
Thanks.
about various pieces of the roadmap coming into place, falling out, moving, etc. But my key thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which so basic fueling and basic salvaging. Now I know they're in the roadmap. I know they're coming. I know they're working on greater gameplay mechanics for us.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, like, we've already got those gameplays in Arena Commander in some aspect. So when you kill a ship in Arena Commander, they drop pickups, right? Like the missiles or the wrench or maybe some fuel, etc.
Yeah.
So in essence, we already have those gameplays in the mechanics in a very, very simple aspect in the game.
Yeah.
But they're locked into Arena Commander. I mean, for a very basic salvage, very basic fueling, you could allow the Starfarer to drop those fuel pods that ships pick up in Arena Commander in the verse.
Yeah.
You could allow the broken ships that you blow up to drop the wrenches or to drop the... You could change it, you know what I mean, for the reclaimer to pick up those pieces and then have salvage and whatnot, you know.
The thing that I don't like about that, well, I guess it functions, but people don't want that out of, at least I don't. You may, okay? But
I don't want that as my gameplay mechanic, but I mean, it's already in the game.
So it's not like they have to develop it more.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have to take time out and months out to put that into the PU. It's already in the game. It's already mechanic. They've already coded for ships to drop certain things when they're blown up or destroyed.
Yeah.
It's already in the game. Like, it wouldn't take much for them to put that into the PU for us just to use to buy us over until they can figure out how they want to fully implement salvage and fueling.
And what MK19 Monkey says in Twitch chat is turn them into boxes. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But the problem, now this is where I talk about quality of life, is what if there has to be a simpler way of doing it, because taking the one box and moving it from ship to ship is kind of frustrating. They really need to bring in the larger boxes and how to move them, and then make the cargo boxes that you have in your ship movable and tradable between players. Maybe it's something that's done with a service beacon on a mobiGlass. Like, if you're inside of a ship, then you can transfer, you know, that cargo from one ship to another. Maybe you can, there's a...
Or if you're on the same strut, not AtaSer, you know.
Well, I'm saying for more an example of if you blow up, let's say you blow up a caterpillar, you can click on one of the boxes and claim it. And then once it's claimed, you can transfer it to your ship kind of instantly, maybe for now.
Just when I don't see tractor beams anywhere on the roadmap.
No, I'm just saying instantly. You literally click it and just move it for now.
But I mean, like, as in terms of like the later progression of that for the gameplay.
Yeah.
You would use the sort of tractor beam. You'd park close enough to say the hologram in this instance, you know what I mean? Which would be the box or the cargo. And you would use your beam, tractor beam, to pull in that hologram or the box or the cargo.
What if you did this?
Later on, when it's implemented.
What if you did this? What if you just went to the cockpit and you sat down and you say transfer cargo, like you press F and use your thing, and it says transfer cargo, and you just like you get out of your ship, fly over to your ship, and say accept cargo or something, right? Like there should, like I know we're putting more on the UI team, but there could just be like a simple UI that's done through your ship's MFDs. It's the same exact UI that's at a service beacon, or not a service beacon, like at a rest stop, but you board a ship, you say transfer cargo, it doesn't cost anything, and it just transfers from one ship to another. And there you go. There's your, it doesn't take any additional gameplay, I don't think. Or it doesn't take any additional programming, at least not a crazy amount, probably. And then you have the ability for another pirate to take over a ship and gain. It's more Sea of Thieves style, where you have to, like, or I guess Summit on Sea of Thieves style, where you have to board the ship sneakily, kill the pilot, and then take over it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Add a button in the comms MFD channel, yeah. And then you transfer the cargo to that, like you click on it, and then ships in your nearby area are there, and then you just click on it and transfer cargo. I don't know. Just makes sense to me. And then that adds a huge wrinkle to the game and make it more fun. So, like, I'll take what you said, BB, and twist it. Instead of taking Arena Commander elements, take elements from the UI that are already in game and place them somewhere else. And make it more enjoyable. You can even do it with ship components, potentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Click on a component, transfer.
I mean, there's a lot that's already coded and implemented into the game in one way or another.
Yeah,
whether it's really basic or not.
And for fuck's sake, why not? Why do we not have the ability to buy multiple ship components? Well, I guess I don't know. It would be cool to take ship components off of a ship and see them in your hangar bay, like your cargo hangar bay, as well, instead of in a box. You know. But yeah, I mean, I think we're getting off topic a little bit. Do you like the fact that they're more conservative? Would you rather see them, you know, really try and hit some crazy goals for the end of the year? Are you happy that they're more focused on
some of those
quality of life than gameplay? You know,
some of those things really, really need to be polished out, and I think other things could, instead of being pulled back or pushed, like other things could just be in at the. I don't know if they want to do that though. Like mag boots. Why the fuck is mag boots in 3.8? We had mag boots back in 1. Like donkeys years ago. What's the difference going to be between the mag boots?
Well, I think something broke with them, with what they brought in.
You know,
so now they have to bring it back.
But most things are broken in the game anyway. But they're still in the game, so.
That's true. That's true.
I really think having something basic and broken, as opposed to not there at all, is better than it being pushed back until, you know, and that's just my opinion.
So you would prefer them to bring in more features and not care if they're broken or not?
Well, not so much as broken, just have it as, like, because it's only really going to be broken technically once you're getting more complex with things, right? Once you start adding additional features or additional mechanics to that one gameplay loop.
Maybe.
If it's something that basic, like
every time features come in, they're broken.
Door. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, you look at a door, you push F, or you hold F to open a door. Now you've got a list of options, so it becomes 3 times as complex, right? To have one more outcome.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, instead of just looking at a box and pushing F and salvaging, then you would have to hold it and click, well, do you want to store it? Do you want to salvage it? Do you want to set, like, you would have a list of options.
Do you want to transfer it?
Complex. Exactly. Yeah. But instead of just having one, so you're in a cargo ship, your only ability is to take the cargo. You're in a salvaging ship, your only ability is to salvage the cargo. Like, I really just think some kind of basic gameplay in for pushing out, but I don't mind. I'm a catch-22 guy because I like having a fully developed mechanic. I like how in-depth they go, but at the same time, there needs to be a balance so people don't fall out of the game until those patches come in.
We got spoiled with mining, I think.
Mining was a good patch. I'll really give it that.
Yeah, and then we wanted them to continue on that train, and for whatever reason, it's not something that they could do or wanted to do. And for me, it feels more like a little combination of the both, right?
The locations and stuff, I agree with pulling those out and keeping those until they're, they're fully done. But basic game mechanics, just stupid things like mag boots or, fueling. You could just park next to a Starfarer and get fuel.
Yeah, you could simplify it.
A tube coming down and pretending to just make it basic. Give us the ability to do it, and then focus on making it immersive and fun.
Okay. Well, all right, BB. I'm gonna let you go and bring in the next caller because we actually have quite a list. So
no worries, buddy. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks for calling. First time, right?
First time.
Nice. Hopefully more times. We'll talk to you later, dude.
Buddy.
Bye.
Peace, bro.
All right, and then we have Shadowhunter 255, who's been calling, I think, kind of regularly lately. What up, Shadowhunter? Welcome to answer the call, man.
Not bad. How are you, Twik? Good.
I'm well.
That's good. Just a little bit of side note. On your screen, it does say topic of the day is Emmy is cutest. I'm not sure if you know if she's trolling you.
Yeah, I know why that is. Fuck. I'll fix that too.
Yeah, no worries, man. I just thought she might have been trolling. As for the roadmap, okay, so my understanding is that for the next year or so, they're going to be focusing on Squadron 42. So that is why the roadmap is a lot more conservative this year, is the fact that they are focusing on that, which is a good thing in a way. It's and this is what I was saying to Sunday before. It's going to be a case of us having to hike through a desert for a year before we get to the oasis, being Squadron 42. So I like the fact that they're more conservative. I like the fact that they are working on other things that might necessarily be on the roadmap that might come through as a surprise, and for example, CitizenCon and stuff like that. But that said, some of the stuff that's on there at the moment, I think people are underestimating it.
I think so too.
Like 3.5, we're getting flight model and stuff like that, which is obviously great. We're getting flight model and FPS upgrades, and we're getting the new Corp and stuff like that. Like 3.6, we're getting ship rentals, which is going to bring in a little bit of gameplay. They're bringing in the black market, which is obviously going to help out as well. They're bringing in rest stops, I think, for 3.6 for automatics. I think it may be automatic rest stops and stuff like that, and refueling. 3.7, we're getting ship-to-ship docking or ship-to-station docking. And in 3.8, we're actually getting dynamic mission systems, which is basically going to allow the computer or the servers to turn around and say, hey, I need a box going from Hurston to, for example, ArcCorp, and it will automatically populate that as
but it'll do it because it actually needs it. Yeah. It's not just creating random missions to create random missions. It actually needs it. And the big thing, and this is something that people keep not noticing, I don't think, for the last year, I think it's been about a year, let's say 6 months, the monthly report, I keep hearing working on the crafting system. And that's where this comes into play, is we know that Star Citizen isn't going to have or at least we think, who knows with Chris Roberts and his crazy feature creep, but we know that there won't be traditional crafting like we see in other MMOs. That's what they've said. But this is kind of what it means, I think, is we know Hurston Dynamics crafts guns, right? And they need certain materials to craft those guns. And if people are buying them often, then they need to keep making those guns. So they need certain materials to do so, right? So then Hurston, the planet, is going to say, we need this metal, this thing, that thing, this gas, and that thing, and you need to bring them here, and they'll constantly be putting out either missions or you will physically buy the items and bring them there and profit more on them because that's what they need.
And that's what that dynamic mission system is going to do.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it is coming in at the end of the year, which is going to be a long slog between now and then.
And
But
there's a chance it
there
gets
is-
pushed. Yeah.
Well, let's not talk about that. But I was going to say, I'm almost out playing in traffic as it is with the amount of content that's been released.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's there is stuff there, and you know, the ship to station docking, the ship to ship docking. I do like that idea that you were talking about with BB, where you, for example, go under a caterpillar and you have a terminal, and you can then transfer that to a ship that's say within 5 kilometer radius or something like that.
Yeah.
That to me is a good idea. Maybe if you go up to the bridge and you can do like a claim the ship thing, and then go down into the cargo bay and transfer it to your Caterpillar or Avenger Titan or whatever it may be. I like that idea.
And
But
then
to do that again.
And then
Sorry.
we see, well, yeah, with that, we see that they want to have, they said stolen goods and weapons and things. In I think 3.6 or 3.7 that
3.6.
yeah, so 3.6, like with the black market economy, there's some detail to that too, where it says shops will it was something with like acting in, I mean, I have it here. Let me bring it up and be more
Security forces will search for stolen and illicit items
there you
and
go.
respond appropriately, while
That-
NPCs and
That
shops...
exactly. You don't even have to say anything
Yeah.
else. Is
Yeah.
security forces will search for stolen and illicit items and respond appropriately. So if you add in the like just go to a ship and hit claim if you don't own it and make it your own, well, that ship's stolen. And then NPCs will scan you and say, well, the owner is this, but it's listed as stolen. And then
the
they
other
act
part of that-
appropriately.
Yeah, and the other part of that too is while NPCs and shops will distinguish between legitimate and stolen merchandise, so there must be something that they're bringing in. But to do this, they're going to need to stop. They're going to need to stop getting ships blowing up. This is the biggest thing that we have at the moment. Is every
Yeah.
time I attack a ship or you
It
attack a ship
blows
or whatever it may be, it blows up,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, what's the point? You know, like it's fun to hang around Jumptown and stuff like that. But what I was going to say is, but we need things to start being wrecks and
Yeah.
being debris and stuff like that, and not so much, hey, we just blew up another ship.
Yeah. Like it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring. Like, yeah, you killed
Start
the
putting
guy,
in-
but you gain nothing from it. And what do
No.
you do after you kill him? You got to wait for the next guy to come around to kill. It's boring.
Yeah, start putting in something more than just first wave, or what I like to call first wave mechanics. You know, the first wave is obviously attacking the ship and disabling it. Second wave is sorting through and taking what you want from that ship, even if it is just cargo boxes. You know, we had cargo boxes over at that space station, starts with C. I forget the name of it. It was a mission
Kovalex.
to investigate. Kovalex, yeah. We had cargo boxes over there that you could actually take and put on your Avenger, which
Mhm.
I spent an hour and,
And
a
at,
half letting
and at
up.
all Rex as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, but you don't get anything for them. So where's the mechanic to say, hey, this box is worth $200
Yeah,
or whatever it may be?
exactly. So when you go to a wreck and you take something, it's actually worth something. So if you spend
Yeah,
10
so-
minutes, EVAing in and out and grabbing these boxes at a wreck or at Kovalex, you might actually make 5K, like you would make for 10 minutes of doing a trade run or a cargo run or whatever.
Yeah, and have different boxes worth different values and stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
we already know that there is some sort of value on these boxes because, well, medical supplies and stuff like that. Just make it so that they can, maybe even put it into the black market.
Yeah.
So that these boxes that you salvage, and I use that term very loosely here, can actually go through and be sold off, and we can make some, and just start adding more interesting gameplay like that. Like,
I mean,
I don't
it seems
care if we-
a lot easier to just do, like, let's take what we already have in the game. Like, everything you're saying, I agree with 100%. But let's take a system we already have in the game. The purchasing of ships. Why can't you go into a ship that you don't own and somewhere, like, okay, let's tie two things in together. The purchasing of ships and the lowering of your crime stat. Why can't you go into a ship and go to a panel. There's plenty of panels on these ships that don't fucking function at all, and add the exact same UI as the lower your crime stat rating, and click on it and say claim instead of use. And like, instead of lowering your crime stat, you're just transferring the ship to you. And it creates this situation where, yeah, you got to wait 5 minutes, but you've transferred the ship to you. They report it as stolen. And when you are flying that ship, or in general, you're just a criminal now. And there's no lowering that criminal rating so long as you're in that ship. Every single aspect of that game, of that system that I'm mentioning, is already in the game. You just have to tie it all together.
Yeah.
Right?
The only way...
And then you own that ship, though. And now you don't have to worry about the transferring of anything. You can now land that ship somewhere. Let's say Levski, since it's more black markety, right? You land that ship at Levski, and you transfer out all of the ship's components and all of its cargo you sell there. Done. You now earn something from doing something negatively.
Yeah,
and
even if they don't...
You haven't added anything to the game.
Yeah, even if they make it so that, for example, it doesn't go into your ship roster or into your ship list for long-term storage, even if it's something that you only keep for a limited time, maybe. I know they get worried about doing the whole... And I would love that mechanic. I'd love to be able to go into someone's ship and take it and something like that. But I think they get worried about that sort of stuff because they're worried about, you know, for example, people ripping off the system and someone saying, hey, come and take my ship and then I'll respawn another one. And they haven't got the insurance sorted out to sort of combat someone ripping off the system. But
they do. Like, what I'm saying is they do. You've claimed the ship. You are a criminal in that ship no matter what. That ship is red wherever it goes. There might be a place to go where you can be red, like, or Grimhex is probably better, where you can be red and you can not get attacked by the station, but you're still going to be open to be attacked by all players and everything like that. So it's all systems that are currently functioning in the game. All you have to do is just add a panel that's already in the game and press a fucking button and wait 5 minutes.
Sometimes I think Chris wants to do things too big, too fast. And also, if you were to go through and sort of like claim a ship and you had to wait 5 minutes, it would be a chance for the player or the owner of that ship to do a little bit of FPS combat. If he's like, say, for example, in the ship still and he just doesn't realize you're aboard, maybe make it like there's an alarm or something or some sort of auditory to say, hey, your ship's about to be claimed. You know, there's a lot of little things that they can do without having to, you know, work on these huge, great big mechanics like salvage or anything like that we don't already have. So, But I don't know. I like the fact that they are more reasonable with the map this year. I think that's going to stop a lot of the haters. And like I said, I don't mind if this year's a little bit of a drought. For example, if we get Squadron 42.
But you're not getting Squadron 42 this year.
No, next year. Yeah. Hopefully. So what I think with Squadron 42 is alpha in the first quarter, beta in the second quarter, released in the third quarter.
I don't know.
How I would say.
I don't even bother. I don't even bother thinking about it, to be honest. It's too closed. We don't know anything that's going on. Even though they have a roadmap, still just don't know enough. So
they have to do something with Squadron, because if they don't make the Squadron deadline this time, it's going to be the fourth time they've missed it.
Yeah. But I just don't even bother thinking about it. I get that it affects our roadmap now, but I don't think there's a point in discussing Squadron at all, because it's so far away and it doesn't directly affect the PU enough positively. And this is more of a PU topic, and yes, Squadron affects it, but that's it about this topic, is it affects it in a negative way where we have more people in the company working on Squadron than working on the PU. The type of people that are working on the PU are the people that are more of the background behind the scenes, people making tools, people working on the economy, and people working on quality of life and performance improvements. That's what we're getting for the year. And those people all are more focused on the multiplayer and the networking type of aspects of the game, which are not people that would ever be working on Squadron 42. So that's what we're getting this year, is those type of improvements. And are we happy with that, and are we not, is the question for today's show.
Yeah, the thing is that, like I say, yeah, I'm happy with it as long as we get that you don't want to talk about. As long as we get that, I'm fine. If we start having that delayed, then I have a problem, because it's like, okay.
Now you fucked my PU up for something that you couldn't even finish. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my point. It's sort of like, trek through the desert for 12 months. We're going to get a sun turn out of it. It's going to be boring. But after that 12 months, hopefully we hit the oasis, which is Squadron 42.
Yeah. And another, this kind of came up with IDD in chat. Another one of the reasons why I don't pay attention to Squadron 42 is there's so much shit that comes out of it, out of their mouths about it. Like, oh, we have a few missions done, or, oh, Answer the Call 2016. I mean, it's the reason the name of this podcast is what it is, because it's a fucking meme. And, like, we don't have enough information about Squadron to think critically about how far it is along and what we actually expect to see, right? So that's why I don't like it being a subject, because even if we have the roadmap, there still isn't any tangible information. We don't have it in our hand. Like with the PU, we can feel just how bad it is, just how close it is, and just how far it is in all aspects of it, right? Like you could feel it is this close to being fun, but it is this close to being finished, you know?
But with Aaron and what he said in that episode, I think it was ATC 2 weeks ago, he turned around and they talked about the roadmap for both of them. And he did say that they were very realistic with both of them, and that the roadmaps they had, and he used roadmaps, he said that the roadmaps they had was both very realistic for what they currently have at the moment. So yeah, like I say, look, I think they're trying. I think they've realized that they can't bullshit. Oh, I swore, sorry, but they can't
bullshit.
Up with
Fuck.
one.
Go for it. It's fine.
It's Twitch, yeah. But they can't fill us up with shit anymore. That they have to be realistic with what they've got, because if they keep lying to people, it's going to affect their bottom line. And they need, I worked it out the other day, for $50 million for the year, which is roughly what it costs them for expenses and stuff like that. They need to make around $4 million a month. So, and if they keep screwing us over, so to speak, they're not going to make that. There's going to be diminishing returns. But I do like the fact that the tugboat is coming in, or was a concept, and I do want them to focus more on that sort of thing as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic.
And
I better let you get. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say a lot of the reasons why we get upset and things get moved out is because we don't listen to them either. Often they say we hope to, we would like to, we hope to do this. That they don't say we will. They don't make promises ever, and we always claim that they make promises when they don't. So there's also that.
Yeah, and with the roadmap, I understand why they put out these overachieving roadmaps, because at the end of the day, it motivates the team. Yeah. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because if they don't do it, then the team wouldn't work so hard. Mightn't work so hard. But
and we
at the
get
end of the day, and by putting out these great roadmaps and everything, sure, they mightn't hit the targets, but they might get an extra 20% done than what they thought than the team would have normally got done. So I think a lot of it has to come down to us too. I think we have to sort of be a little bit more based in our expectations with CGI and what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and I'll let you go, Shadowhunter. I'm going to put you in the caller dump now because we have a few more callers. But I'm going to make one more comment real quick.
Sure.
Well, hold on. Let me bring you back in. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you, man.
Fine.
Thank you.
That's fine.
So the point I want to make is that I'm obviously not happy with the fact that we don't have gameplay features coming in this year. Okay. But I backed this game, and I wanted them to make the best damn space sim ever, just like most of us, right? I backed it, and I was comfortable with the way they were backing it, and the way they were developing the game. And I'm obviously not happy with the lack of gameplay that we have now. But that was always the risk when we bought these ships. That was always the risk when we bought into everything. And what I like and what I'm more comfortable with, and this is, again, just my opinion, is that what we have now is making that more enjoyable, so I can enjoy the game while they make the game. And what we had before is I can't enjoy the game at all while they make the game. So I'm more comfortable with what they're doing now and saying, okay, well, we don't have the manpower to add all these features, so let's make the game enjoyable while they wait for it. And I hope they do. It seems like that's what they want to do, and that's why I'm a little more comfortable with this year's roadmap rather than last. I'd rather not be as disappointed as last year, right? All right, and we have another caller. His name is Emessar, and we'll be adding him in right now. Welcome, Emessar. Welcome to Answer the Call, man. What do you think?
I mean, I prefer the system that they're doing now to what they've been doing over the last year, which is just kind of like throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
I personally, I would kind of like to see those other things. I think they could put some of those on there as stretch goals and maybe have them a different color or something like that.
Don't say stretch goals.
What's that?
Stretch goals is a curse word.
Yeah, I know. Or either that, or maybe there's another tab that's like maybe a queue for things that we'd like to bring in.
Just don't say them. Just don't fucking do exactly what you're doing now. Don't say shit. And when stuff comes in, we're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's true.
Why not? Because what's there? I mean, what do you think? Just let's go with 3.5. Some player customization, new flight model, couple of AI improvements. What is that a patch that you're happy with, or does every patch have to have a mining in it? Right?
Yeah.
Does it? Is that realistic for us
honestly,
to expect?
Like 3.5 is bringing in Arc Core, and I know you're not as impressed by new locations and stuff like that, but
they're
I was
important.
like seeing new locations and expanding the universe and the lore and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're important to make, because I think what a lot of people keep saying, and we've had travel time podcasts of this show enough, but I think what a lot of people keep saying is we want the world to feel big. So, okay, well, the world should feel big if you have to travel to multiple locations. So them adding the locations, great. The amount of time it takes to get to one and the other is a whole nother story, which we've done plenty of times and we won't do here today.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I enjoy them adding more locations. I think it's very good. I just am more excited about what we do in between those locations and what we do inside of them, rather than them just being there and being pretty to look at. Like, I'm sick and tired of Star Citizen and going to the Star Citizen Reddit and seeing some stupid fucking GIF or some stupid fucking picture that somebody took in their game and go, wow, this game is so great. Nothing that you're showing me shows me that this game is so great. Everything you're showing me is that this game is so pretty, which is great, right?
It's great, and it still pulls people in. So.
Yeah, but then those people go, well, what the fuck do I do now?
Right. And that's that may be a topic for another time, but just the fact that people get into the game and have no idea what they're doing, and we do at some point need kind of like a tutorial or something, to kind of get people going.
I think what's there is actually just fine. I watched some new streamers play Star Citizen, some bigger streamers, and they followed the tooltips that pop up. Or like the little tips that pop up at the bottom, and they figured out how to get their ship and fly it. That's all you need.
Okay. One thing I did want to comment on before, there was kind of a little side discussion on salvage.
Yeah.
I think one thing that they could do that would be even easier than a lot of things that we talked about is just increase the amount of stuff, just the units of things that are in the boxes. Because even now you can pull those boxes in, but there's like maybe 7 units or something like that in one of those boxes. And even if it was in excess of what should logically be able to be held in that space, you just change the number to like 100 units, like kind of like what the crates are that are on a ship. And just even a few of those could add up to hundreds or thousands even.
Well, what if you just made the box bigger? What if you chose the boxes that are actually in the cargo bays when you buy cargo and sell cargo at rest stops and stuff? Is it possible to reach far enough across to grab 100 SCU box, and then you just move that around? Sure. You know?
Yeah, and it may just be that they don't have
the animation.
I mean, we know that we've seen them working on different grips and stuff like that. They may just not have the animations in solid enough to be able to grip a larger box like that. Or maybe,
But the answer that you're giving is they should.
Yeah.
So why is that not a priority?
Especially down the road. I mean, you're supposed to be able to, put things on there to help move boxes around and have special tools and stuff. But even like right now, particularly in 0G, you should be able to grab onto things and move them around.
Yeah.
And just or even just use the ones that we already know you can pick up and carry around.
And just fake it and say they have 100 SCU.
Change the number that's inside there.
Yeah.
That's
for now. Yeah.
That's like the super easy fix to that would at least give you a little bit of salvage.
Yep.
And piracy for that matter. If you blew up a ship and there are all these little boxes and you got maybe 10% of what that person was carrying, then you could have a little bit of a piracy experience.
And for fuck's sake, just make one of those boxes count as a ship component. And just call it a ship component box. And when you bring it in to your inventory, you find out what it is.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. And once you get to station or whatever, it goes in your universal.
Yeah. You just sell it back to the station for 0.
Yeah. Well, they don't have selling in yet, but I
mean like you sell it to the station, it's 0 credits, which means it goes into your inventory. You just fake it,
Okay.
Yeah. There's so many little things they can do with what's already in there,
And there was a brief period when they first uploaded the roadmap the other week. They actually did have ship-to-ship refueling and repair in 3.6 initially, and then they reloaded it. And so I'm kind of wondering if maybe that'll
sneak in.
If that might sneak in at some point, or maybe it's a hidden thing and they don't want to jinx themselves by putting it on there, or whatever. So we may have some more things pop in, and like you said, I think it is better to have surprises than disappointments.
Yeah, I agree.
And some of I think a lot of the stuff, including the stuff you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of cool and interesting things on the roadmap that I think will have bigger impacts than maybe what people are thinking initially, and they just haven't talked about them that much yet. I think that the AI bounty hunting system will kind of be a little bit of that first iteration of the law system in some respects, because that's going to be based off of your criminality and stuff. That's who the bounty hunters are going to be going after. So that's going to bring in a little bit. Group system support is in 3.5. Heat system, VoIP and FOIP improvements. I'm hoping among those improvements are that it actually works.
We've had great experiences, and we've had terrible.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I had like an old camera that I hooked up, and it didn't work I mean, it actually did the diagnostics and stuff, but it didn't work right because it was like 15 frames per second, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a super old camera. And so I got a new camera, and now it's not. The new camera works. I've tested it on other stuff, but it doesn't work for this. I just get a gray screen on the load up. So I'm hoping that maybe gets fixed.
Yeah.
Let's see. Already mentioned the black market economy and ship rentals. I think ship rentals will just do a lot to
depending how they
change
implement
the culture of the game.
If they do it, they do it like ship purchasing, where there's no ships to buy that even are fun. I mean, I guess there are, like with the Prospector, but if there's no purpose in the game, there's no purpose in buying the ships or renting them.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess I see your point.
Other than to try to see if you want to buy it for real, but then even then, if you can't enjoy it, it doesn't make any sense. So they need to work on what ships are in the game and all that as well.
And it's just fun to try different ships too. I mean, we're kind of jaded because we've been in the game for so long. But somebody new comes in, they've got an Aurora, and they're like, "Well, I wonder what it's like to fly a Cutlass," you know? And rather than having to, you know, and a lot of times you can just borrow it from somebody, but instead of having to do that, if you could actually just go in there, earn the money, and maybe I think they could just do it by saying that it costs like 1% of the value of the ship. You know, that would put it at, you know, for renting it for the day or something like that. So, you know, like an Aurora, it'd be 2,000, and yeah, your Prospector might be 16,000, so it's going to set you back, but you can go out and mine with it and learn how to mine and get that experience and maybe even make some money past that. Yeah. So and more importantly, I think it will make it more apparent to people outside the game that, hey, you don't have to buy the ships. You know, you can. That's
also important as their perception with the public.
And get it. Yeah, I think it just improves the optics.
People be a lot more comfortable buying the game now if they know that they can progress in it somewhat. And that's what I mean by that. It depends on how they implement it. You have to be able to progress between ships and want to progress between ships. Otherwise, there's not going to be that consistent playing. Right?
Right.
All right, MSR, let me let you go because we got 2 more callers and I'm already running a little late. And before I bring them in, I definitely want to address a few things. I'm very upset. All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate your call. And I'm sorry if I felt a little distracted because as this went on, I got more and more upset. I apologize. I didn't give you my all on this call, man.
All righty.
Next time I will, I promise, okay?
Yeah, let me have it.
All right. And I didn't mean it that way. I mean, I had a lot of goals for today's show, and I didn't achieve any of them. I want to make sure that I mention the hashtag. So if you guys are watching the show, you know, in between each call, if you guys are watching the show, make sure on YouTube or whatever, make sure you use hashtag answer the call and make comments about this topic. Now, if you're watching on Twitch as well and you don't really want to call in and you want to make a quick point or whatever, hashtag answer the call on Twitter, and we can sort those through and I can bring them up on screen and we can talk about that real quick. The other thing is, I didn't talk about last week's topic at all before at the beginning of the show. At all. I said I was going to do it. I have everything set up. And I didn't do it. Like, seriously? What am I doing? I'm so off. I'm so upset. This is the worst podcast I've ever put together for Answer the Call. The callers have been fantastic. It is not your fault. I have been terrible. I don't know why. Okay? So I'm so sorry. So I'm going to quickly go through those. Last week's topic was about insurance. Okay? Last week's topic was about insurance. And the first one is here. It was from UK Spawn 666 on YouTube. I didn't use any Reddit posts because whoever posted on Reddit did it in the middle of the night like an idiot, and nobody read it, so nobody commented, and nobody watched the show. So good job, idiot, whoever you were. Don't do that one again. Let's wait until the morning like we do it every other week, so it actually gets some traction. So good job. This person said, I can't even try out builds for my starter ship because I lose everything if the game bugs out and I lose my ship. It's not inspiring for me to buy another ship or try all these cool guns out in the game. I really wish that was fixed before more stuff is added. I appreciate it's an alpha, but that can't be used for an excuse. That can't be used to excuse everything. Please implement insurance ASAP. So this comment is so backwards. It doesn't make any sense. So you can't, Spawn, you contradict yourself completely. Please add item insurance because the game's an alpha. The alpha can't be used as an excuse for everything. So get your thoughts together there, and you don't need insurance because the game's an alpha and you're losing stuff because it's broken. You need insurance because you want to insure your items in case you lose them to an NPC that's powerful or a player that attacks you. All right? So I agree with you. Can't use alpha as an excuse for everything. So that's not why we need insurance, man. So I'm with you, but I'm against you. All right? The next one, somebody points out a very valid topic. Shiva's right foot. Both this week's show and last week's show, and many shows actually, Shiva, there is a glaring blind spot in your Star Citizen analysis. You completely ignore FPS gameplay. Pertinent to last week's show, outside of the purchase UEC, there is no way to pay to win with FPS gear. I'll add that it's moderately placed enough that a few cargo or few FPS missions will pay for a full set of heavy armor and a selection of firearms. FPS is nearly completely level playing field in Star Citizen. I agree. I wish that ship components were just like FPS components, where they're nominally priced, you stock up on them. If you lose them, it doesn't kill you too much, but it should hurt a little bit more on a ship because it's a bigger item, and you go from there, right? With regards to insurance, FPS gear is also presently uninsurable, but I do believe there are commitments to letting your FPS gear drop on death. FPS gear is exactly a thing that is uninsurable in which you risk when using it. Yep, I like it, man. So I appreciate this feedback. I do need to think more about the FPS players in Star Citizen and that aspect of the game when discussing what we talk about. All right. And then we have another, this one's kind of funny. Now I see it. You want the heart-pounding excitement of real potential loss. I don't. Perfect solution. I'll have insurance, and you can skip it. We both get what we want. And I just said, no, you don't get it. Okay? Because what I mean by you don't get it is we both need to have a heart-pounding experience. You can't sit there and go, well, I'm safe, but you're not. We both need to feel unsafe. Okay? That's what I want. I want you to feel some loss. It doesn't have to be lose everything, but you need to feel some pain. Otherwise, you're just kind of existing, right? And it's not good enough. And then he called me Junior and said some stupid things that don't make any sense. So I'm not really going to comment on those very much, but I do want to comment on what I mean by you don't get it. All right? So listen here, Sonny. I do get it. You know what? Let's actually read his thing. I need to move it over to another screen to actually read it though. He says, Turk17, no, I do get it. You are a sadist who wants people to be punished, your words, for having the audacity to try to make money in a non-security zone. Never said that. You should be punished outside of security zones. Okay? So actually listen to the show. First off, Junior. Second, first, for you, it's not bad enough that between pirates, killers, and perhaps environmental hazards and the chance of success or whatever endeavor is undertaken are very low. You want real financial loss for failure. You said it. I double dare you to reconsider it when you're 50 years old. I'm 34 years old. I might as well be 50, dude, when it comes to gaming. You are not looking at 40 years of gaming ahead of you. You don't get it, Junior. Okay. We're going to be playing this game, and if you want to complete the game in X amount of time because you're older, what? I mean, what kind of point are you making there? Second, there needs to be punishment when you lose things in game. If there's no punishment, then you don't really have a game. You're just existing in this thing where you're constantly gaining, but never having any falling back because you've made mistakes, right? So the point of you being old and not having as much time to live as me is completely besides the point. It's just the pirate needs to gain from your loss, and you need to be quote unquote punished for your loss. You need to have something taken from you for your mistakes, right? And there also needs to be just those things, and that's how I feel. We don't have to agree on things, but you also have to make sense when you make your points, and so far I don't think you're making sense. So there you go. And in the future, guys, we're going to do this at the beginning of every show, okay? So I'm going to take a couple comments and bring them on, all right? Now I have ASN that I'm bringing on to the show, and we're going to hear what he has to say. We have to be kind of quick because me and Emmy, who is the cutest, my girlfriend, for those of you that didn't catch that one in the beginning, we're going to her brother's house for lunch. So I have to be a little bit quick if I want to get this on YouTube in time. ASN, what's up, man? Welcome to Answer the Call.
Hello.
Hello, dude. How you doing?
Is this the pro streamer and the professional stream?
No, this is not the professional podcast. This is terrible. I feel so fucking bad. I worked all day on Thursday to be prepared for the show, and I ignored everything I worked on for some reason. I don't know why.
It's all right.
So we'll grow and get to where we need to be, but I'm very upset with myself this podcast.
Yeah, so 2019 goals. I'm really happy that finally that we are, like, it's been declared that Squadron is the focus.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to say.
Which we all knew, but they just seemed to ignore it.
Yeah, we kind of like guessed, but it wasn't like announced. And
yeah.
It was, I think, announced a little bit late too. I think they were like a bit 5 or 6 months late on that announcement, but they were probably trying to figure out internally how to do it. So that's good. So I think what we see on the roadmap right now is a reflection of that priority, as we see a lot of core mechanics. Like, the reason why they improve core gameplay is not only because they want people to play and, you know, watch the game grow in a sane manner.
Yeah.
They also want to, you know, wrap up the Squadron stuff. So I think it's like actually even like 60-40 of like Squadron even is the reason mostly of getting that stuff in. But since they have a similar code base, they just, you know, transfer that stuff to the PU.
Yeah.
So that's why we see that stuff. Professions wise, I mean, if you look back, when 3.0 came out at the end of 2017, they added, you know, trading. 2018 was mining. Was there anything else added in 2018? Game profession wise? No, right?
I guess delivery missions, if you want to consider that a profession, but it's definitely not.
It's like a micro, yeah, it's a minor one. So
very minor one. I mean, I guess it would be considered
one.
Cargo hauling, but okay, here's what I think delivery missions are. It's cargo hauling, but it's the start of cargo hauling where a company like Kovalex will say, ship this from here to there and I'll pay you X.
Yeah. It's an expansion of cargo hauling.
Yeah.
Actually. So as we can, like, if you look back, because this is the best way to kind of, like, you know, track what's been happening and what's might happen in the future. If you look back, we've been getting one game profession a year, right?
Yeah.
So my expectation is we'll get at least one this year. If everything goes well, we might get 2. So last time I checked the roadmap, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I did see salvage and I did see refuel and repair.
Yeah, you know what?
Is that correct?
I think so. And I think what happened was I was working on my document for it, and I stopped because I had to go to work. And then when I came home today, I was like, I think I stopped at 3.8. And then I looked, and I had 3.8 there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't need to do it. I didn't need to add anything else. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. And I think what happened was I didn't finish 3.8. So I didn't have all of the things in there. So another thing where I wasn't fucking prepared for this show.
All right, I just wanted to be sure.
Yes.
So salvage rewind, yeah, here 3.8, and then in 3.7 we have repair, refuel, restock kiosks, and up here we have the fuel scooping.
Yeah.
For refueling, right? So I mean, maybe not all of them, but like entries to those mechanics, right? So let's just say we'll at best get 2.
And for me, it has to be salvage. I've
salvage
argued
is very,
this.
very important.
And the reason it's important is because we already have repair and refuel in the game.
Yeah. So, and it also ties into the economy and player interaction very well. So that's another thing. So PU-wise, like the strategy, if Squadron wasn't the priority, should have always been, how can we, like, with how little work can we do, the maximum effect of creating an MMO experience, like, adding a small thing like any mechanic. Would that really, change the structure of the whole game? Add to it? That should have been. But since Squadron is a priority, we can't expect them to do so. So the way I see it is this: the community, like there are 3 sections of the community on the PU side. One side really wants professions. One side wants improvements to what is in the game. And the other part is a mixture of both. So I think CIG will try to focus on satisfying, of course, the majority.
Where do you fit? You seem to fit in the mixture of both, and I think it's the most sane place to sit.
Yeah, because there are a lot of core stuff that are really broken and hurting, and they're hurting on a longer duration. Like the flight model has been hurting the game for like a year now.
Missiles have been hurting the game for years.
Yeah. So that stuff is they shouldn't be like this any longer. Like in 2 quarters they should be through, and we should finally focus on other stuff as well, on core stuff.
Yeah.
But like 2019 is going to be like an interesting year, but I think development wise, like they have enough developers to both make Squadron and PU. And while yes, priorities will shift to Squadron, I mean, I think the community should kind of celebrate this, because finally CIG is shipping a product. Like this is a big deal. Like we've been in alpha for since 2013. It's been 6 years. Like for CIG to be a professional company, they need to draw the lines of Squadron, they've been focusing on it, make the necessary work, and like do it great, and then shove it out the door. And at that point, they'll become by everybody. They'll be reviewed as and looked as a industry standard professional game development company. But right now, having no product again puts you like below the expectations. Like nobody is sure of what you can do. But having even at least one good product out there gives you a lot of backing. So I'm happy that Squadron is the focus, and I'm happy with the production schedule. The one thing I noticed is that a lot of the community has been a bit disappointed with the roadmap and all that stuff. But I think the devil is in the details, as the previous caller said, because every little bit that adds to the game collectively will make the game much, much better.
Exactly. And it seems like they're going back to that and making sure that that they clean up a lot of that stuff. And I think a big part of it is they realize that I think last year they probably I mean we expected the entire Staten system done last year from them. That's what they thought. Right?
Yeah. And they are pretty ambitious on that too.
What I am a huge fan of about this roadmap is when I look at it, there's not one thing that I go in there and immediately, without even thinking twice, that's not going to make it. Last year, patch is ridiculous. That patch is ridiculous. When this moves to that, even that patch is going to get more ridiculous. There is no way they're going to be able to do this. This year, I go, okay. And I just go like that. Yeah. I'm not overly excited, but I'm not upset either. I'm just like, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
As a streamer, I'm not happy, right? The amount of content I'm going to be able to make for this game might be a little bit more difficult this year for me, because not only am I a streamer, but I'm a streamer that's more focused on the economy aspects of the game. So when I heard Aaron Roberts say, we're working on the economy, I don't know what the fuck that means. I want to find out what that means. What that means. Because that's what I'm interested in,
Yeah. Well, it was generally my rule of thumb is under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
Because this is like one of the things developers in general in game development, like we really love our products, right? Everything we work on, we're like, because you spend thousands of hours on it. And like, there's I mean, sometimes, of course, there are always people that work just for the money or just for the careers, whatever. But there's in game development, there's a higher percentage of passion developers. Like people are really passionate. They're thinking about their product like all day or like every week. Like they can't stop. So you get excited for it, right? And then what happens then is in your mind, because it's such an emotional thing, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. You know, we're going to make this, we're going to do that. And actually one of the reasons why Star Citizen's bad rap comes from is that like CR overhyping, being overexcited, being over hopeful, just like putting stuff out there. Which in itself, yes, by itself, it wouldn't have been that controversial. But when you tie in the funding aspect, it becomes a little bit controversial. But that's another topic. So 2019, I think, is going to be after 2018, like just improving on the core game, adding a couple of stuff here and there, just making it like a better experience that you can get into, enjoy, and have some kind of loops even more than last year. So I think the audience will grow. Like I think it has already grown. SC has become
because it's like more playable.
Exactly, and it's related to that. So 2019 will be more of that. So you know, adding the female models, adding all the new little mission systems, the NPCs, the law system, adding new cities. Like a lot of people are looking like, oh yeah, what do we need a city for? Whatever. Yes, but it's what draws people in. Having that sense of it, just going somewhere, looking at someplace different, and having that variety. And so I think yes, like this year it's going to be a bit more steady expansion of the core PU experience while like developing and finishing Squadron.
I think everybody needs to realize that this game is going to take a long time to get to where you want it to be. We all want it to be a lot further than it is now, including the devs at the studio. But I think everybody is starting to realize just how long it's going to take to make this specific game. Don't compare this game to that game or this game to that game. This game is every game combined into one game. It's ridiculous. Okay, everything about this game is
ridiculous,
stupid, but in a good way, I think, and sometimes in a bad way. But we have to realize that if they don't take their time and just make the experience that we're playing now enjoyable, then it's going to be not. It's not going to be good for them. We see how great guys like Giant Waffle, Tim, I think his name is Tim, the guy who does the role play, all the role play. Timac, sorry. The roleplay guys that came in, all those things coming into this year or the end of last year and the beginning of this year.
They really enjoyed the game.
Like, they really enjoyed the game, and their audiences definitely enjoyed it. And I guarantee that translated into people buying at least starter packages.
Of course.
And then a starter package we all know turns into other shit because we're crazy.
But more of that stuff is going to happen for sure.
As they make the game more playable. So this benefits everybody, right?
Yeah.
So
another fact like that is not being talked about as much, which is a bit more technical. I've been reading that they've been focusing a lot on the physics improvements and optimizing physics, and they've been talking about a lot of bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So another reason why certain entity-based or physics-based features are not in could be that their physics are overloaded, which is very likely because you have to think about all the ship calculations at the same time, all the trading boxes, every item that is generated. That might, if not programmed correctly, if not refactored correctly, it can cause serious issues on the server. And actually, I even observed these issues when they added the AI transport ships, to Lorville.
Yeah,
there was a PTU patch where they had like civilian AI ships just taking off of Lorville. It was like literally for a week. And then you could see like these ships like rubber banding 10 meters and then like backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. The server trying to identify where it actually is at. And that's when I noticed like, while we don't see the server screwing up because, the civilian AI is working fine and it's just mechanically different. But the server actually is overloaded. And that's why they're trying to focus on it. So if you add salvage, or if you add other mechanics that create entities,
you're just piling on.
You're just piling on, exactly. So there might be other technical reasons to the profession issue than just squadron production priorities or whatever.
Yeah,
that's another thing I want to point out. It's a more like technical. It's a possibility. I'm not in their team. I don't know. But this is what I'm reading from the situation a little bit as well.
All right. Well, ASN, let me let you go so I can get IDD in, and we also have a tweet too that we have to get through before I head out. Man. But thank you so much for calling in again. I'll be better for you next week. I'm sorry, man.
No, it was all right.
All right. Bye now.
Take care. Later.
Hey, IDD. What's up, man? Welcome to Answer the Call. If you can do me a favor, we got to try and keep it a little short today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Well,
wow, that was short. Okay, great.
Well, I think the different approach to the roadmap is long overdue.
Yeah.
Personally, I have always translated the roadmap into something way more realistic for myself. So the actual setbacks in the past weren't as surprising to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a nice way to say it, but I thought their quote unquote old way of doing it was shady as hell. To keep some hype going, to have something great to look for in the near future, to simply keep
it always kept you like on the carrot on the stick is what it felt like. It was like, okay, well, I only have to wait 3 more months. And what's in the next patch and what's in the current patch that's coming out, it looks pretty fun, but I only have to wait 3 more months for salvage. I agree. But I don't know if they did it maliciously. We'll never know, and I don't think so, but I do think a good part of the community does feel that they may have done it maliciously, right? And you're entitled to that opinion. I'm not gonna, say you're wrong because there's no way to prove it, right?
Yep. No, of course, each to his own.
Yeah.
So with a more realistic approach, which I like, obviously, people will have to get used to it, and it will be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah.
Because now it will become more obvious how far Star Citizen is being out from having additional professions and gameplay loops.
Yeah.
I mean, if it stays with 1 profession a year, we might see something like exploration in 5 years. I mean, have fun.
Yeah. Well, exploration, I think, requires more than just a mechanic. It also requires distance and space and element, and so many more elements.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe just more focus, the intention to actually do it.
Yeah.
Like more priority, but whatever. I also agree Squadron 42 is the main focus, and for me it makes totally sense. They need to get Squadron 42 out.
Yeah.
But regarding to what ASN said, that CIG has enough developers to make both games, I don't think so.
Me neither.
In quantity, yes. But I think like the majority of the tech guys, the UI team and so on work on Squadron 42. And I think it has a direct effect on Star Citizen, and it will be very noticeable.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, we see how many UI issues there are and how bad the UI is, and if we know for sure, they even say it all the time, they lack UI programmers and UI developers all the time.
And you also need fairly fleshed out systems for the UI team to not waste time working on something, and then you change the underlying system of whatever gameplay, and you need to make the AI completely new.
Yep.
The UI, not the AI.
Yeah.
Well, lastly, I think the quality of life approach is wrong to a degree.
Okay.
I mean, some improvements on stability are okay, but from my point of view, and I'm in that branch, adding other professions is more, because I think there are a lot of people still waiting on the outside because they simply don't like what's currently in the game, and they're waiting for their preferred profession.
But if their preferred profession comes in a tier 0 implementation where the quality of life improvements to group systems and playing together and the economy actually functioning in the game properly, what is the point of adding those features? Like salvage, what's the point of salvage if there's nothing to do with the salvage? What's the point of salvaging components if all of the components aren't working together properly to make a build on a ship? What's the point of cargo hauling if it works the way it does now, where it's a complete disaster and doesn't make any sense at all in regards to how the economy works, in my opinion, right? So that's what I mean by like quality of life improvements. There really isn't much of a point to bring in these additional mechanics with so many things not functioning properly. We can't even trade money from one person to another, right? So I've salvaged some of your ship and I would like to give you some to hand over to whoever, but I can't even pay you for it, you know? So why add more when you can add more? Why add more that doesn't work when you can add more that does? When you can add on to things and make them work. And then add more because the work that you did to make those things work makes the new additions work. Why add refueling if I can't pay the guy who's fueling me? You know? Sorry for yelling, but I'm getting excited.
No problem. It's because I think the current system as it is, like cargo hauling, it's not a really interactive, in-depth mechanic. And when you improve on it, like how you improve cargo hauling, you have you can sell more commodities at a console, and you may be able to carry out more packages at once to the same station, whatever. It's like it makes things a little smoother, but it doesn't really change how the profession works. It's like, imagine you have we had days when cargo hauling or mining worked fairly smoothly, right?
Yep.
Now, would you have fun doing that for an entire year straight? Because that's what's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's okay. So I disagree with you completely because there's something on this roadmap that is a quality of life improvement, and it's the dynamic mission system. And hopefully that ties into the dynamic economy, which we did have in game at one point, and you going down and selling the same thing in the same place over and over again because it's just how it works isn't fun. And if we have that for all this year, cargo hauling is going to be very boring. I'm enjoying it somewhat now because we kind of created a way to make it more enjoyable, but at the same time, the improvements to other aspects of the game, like the general quality of life of the economy, will make cargo hauling more enjoyable. So taking one cargo from this place to the other and doing that specific run over and over again, of course that's boring. But if you do that run over and over again, and then all of a sudden, you know, probability values start happening where pirates start interdicting you on that trade run every single time because it's a popular trade run, then it becomes a little more interesting and a little bit more fun. And then maybe that creates a more profitable trade run somewhere else. I don't know. I don't even know if that's possible and something they're considering doing this year. But quality of life to what's there, I think would make things more interesting longer term. I agree with you, but it's hard to agree with you on specifically cargo hauling because it seems like there's a couple of interesting things that they can do relatively easily. But yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It is an improvement to something like cargo hauling, but what you described to me is more like randomization. It's like you can't buy Widow from Jumptown, but you have to go to another outpost to buy Widow from there. And an hour later, you have another outpost to get Widow from there. But what I mean is, you are doing the exact same thing. And by adding another profession, you would do something completely different.
I agree 100%. But if you make the the economy dynamic and the missions dynamic, and that's what your focus is before bringing in that feature, or doing it at the same time like we see in 3.8, and creating the quality of life improvements earlier in the year to make it so I can group with my friends easier, that systems on the ship function together, so when I'm salvaging or refueling or things, the panels on the ship are working together. I can manage my power and things like that a lot better to make it function properly. Then you bring in that element to the game. So, like, obviously trading money back and forth and general quality of life improvements like that, I do believe need to come into play before adding more features to the game. I also almost agree with you completely, where I would it's just a Star Citizen problem, right? Where it makes so much more sense to just throw all these features in, barely working, and gradually make them work. And the game would probably come together a lot faster. But they need, not want, they need this game to be a playable, enjoyable experience from this day forward. They need to, because we don't want them, and this goes back to last week's and the week before show, is we don't want them selling in-game, we don't want them selling gameplay. We don't want them selling the game. We want to play the game and enjoy the game, and because we enjoy the game, people buy the game. We want them to monetize, but we want them to monetize the right way. And if you make it where it's not that way, then I think it becomes a problem. But I don't know, man. Like, it's hard for me to disagree with you, but it's hard for me to agree with you. It's weird.
No, it's like it is like ASN said. You have different groups, and
yeah, and I don't know where I
it.
sit. Like, I want everything to come in as fast as possible, and I don't necessarily care if it's in a broken state that much. But then I also want what's there. I also believe that what's there now needs to be playable and enjoyable for the masses to start coming into the game and buying it. It's not necessarily for my experience, right?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, even if it's not the approach I would take or I would like them to take, it's just stick to this thing right now for once. Like, don't shift your focus.
If this is your approach,
again,
go for it.
Back and forth. Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Well, let me let you go. I'm sorry for cutting you short, but I have to go today. This was a long one, and a lot of it is because of the errors that I made early on in the show of having way too long of a monologue, and that's not what I apologize that I cut your call short for me. That's the exact opposite of what we wanted this show to be. So I'm very sorry. Specifically to you, because you were the last caller.
Enjoy the game.
Yeah, man. Thank you. We're going to a hockey game later. All right. So we do have a tweet, and I want to go through that very quickly if I can. Let's bring that up here. And let's see how this actually works. Can we see it? Looks good. It's from Zeus Synoxia. He's using #AnswerTheCall. In my humble opinion, the roadmap for 2019 is disappointing for the PU because of the focus on Squadron 42. It's not much more realistic, and I think it is, but because I think those features can get done. I still only expect less than half of the roadmap to be delivered by the end of 2019. Okay, your opinion. Squadron 42 roadmap is overly optimistic and will be delayed. Perhaps. But yeah, I think this is an example of what we're going to do for the tweets. So yeah, I did skip your tweet, Dizzle, because I didn't think it was relevant to the show. But this, is kind of where we want to go to with #AnswerTheCall. I'll do this in between callers more earlier in the show in the future as well. So hopefully you guys that are watching on YouTube have gotten to this part of the show and are going to use #AnswerTheCall for our last topic, or for our next week's topic. And next week's topic is going to be, is your Star Citizen subscription worth it? So we're going to talk about Star Citizen subscriptions and the amount of content that your Star Citizen subscription is supporting, and what is it worth it or is it not? So I want to hear your opinion and why. So use that #AnswerTheCall if you are not planning on coming to the show. coming on the show live, and you want to get your point across. So we'll have a couple of these on to fill the content for each show, especially early on in it. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to apologize for the quality of this week's show over and over and over again, and I promise I will learn from my mistakes today, and we will not make them next week, all right? And I will see you in the next video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody.